Hello and thanks for tuning in to NHK Newsline. I'm Yoshi Ogasawara. One of Washington's most senior political figures could be moments away from setting foot in Taiwan. There's been weeks of speculation, but multiple media reports say U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will touch down imminently. Pelosi arrived in Malaysia on Tuesday for the second leg of an Asian tour that also includes South Korea and Japan. A flight tracking website shows the U.S. Air Force jet on which Pelosi has been traveling is currently airborne. Some media reports quote a diplomatic source as saying she could meet Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen on Wednesday. Officials in Beijing have repeatedly warned of resolute and strong measures to safeguard their country's sovereignty should Pelosi insist on visiting Taiwan.
It's the U.S. that is conducting provocative actions, and that has caused escalating tensions in the Taiwan Strait. So the U.S. should bear all the consequences.
And Beijing has also recently released a series of videos that appear to show the Chinese military in battle mode. The footage also shows what experts say could be a new hypersonic missile system for targeting aircraft carriers. But they're not the only ones on a higher state of alert. More than 20 aerial refueling aircraft have been deployed to a U.S. military airbase in the southern Japanese prefecture of Okinawa. NHK crew also spotted several F-15 fighter jets taking off, plus surveillance aircraft. A U.S. drone strike has killed al-Qaeda's leader in the Afghan capital, Kabul. The attack happened over the weekend, more than a decade after U.S. forces killed the group's previous head. U.S. President Joe Biden announced Ayman al-Zawahiri's death on Monday.
The United States successfully concluded an airstrike in Kabul, Afghanistan that killed the emir of al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri.
Senior U.S. officials said al-Zawahiri was killed at around 6:20 a.m. local time on Sunday on the balcony of a house in Kabul where he was hiding with his family. Al-Qaeda reportedly maintains close links with Taliban leaders in Afghanistan. No civilian casualties were reported.
Now, justice has been delivered, and this terrorist leader is no more. No matter how long it takes, no matter where you hide, if you are a threat to our people, the United States will find you and take you out.
Zawahiri released a video in May to denounce the U.S. The U.S. government had placed a bounty of up to $25 million on his head. Egypt-born Zawahiri was involved in the September 11th terror attacks, among others, after he joined al-Qaeda in the late 1990s. He managed the group's finances and established its fundamental ideologies as its number 2 leader. Al-Zawahiri assumed leadership of al-Qaeda after U.S. forces killed Osama bin Laden in 2011. Matsuo Keisuke is in Islamabad monitoring developments in Afghanistan.
People are stunned. Many knew some kind of explosion took place in the early morning over the weekend. But the Taliban said a rocket struck a vacant house and no one was killed. Then the U.S. announced the drone strike had killed al-Zawahiri. An NHK crew headed to what's believed to be the site, but the crew was not allowed to approach. Tension was high as Taliban fighters guarded the area. Some Afghans are voicing opposition to the attack.
We should live together in peace and rebuild our country on our own.
The U.S. did things like this in the past, and it's still doing them. We aren't anyone's slaves. We're a country with our own identity and history.
Taliban are stepping up their opposition to the latest attack. They have not made a clear connection between the drone strike and al-Zawahiri's death, but they strongly condemn the action, saying it goes against international principle as well as the interests of the United States, Afghanistan, and the region. The Taliban are believed to have maintained close ties with al-Qaeda. Some people say the group have been working together on a daily basis in providing weapons and conducting military trainings. The fact that al-Zawahiri had been hiding in Kabul clearly showed the group's ongoing relationship. The attack on the capital came as the Taliban touted progress in their rule. The strike will make it even more difficult to improve relations with the U.S.
Now, an update on the coronavirus in Japan. A rapid surge in new cases is piling pressure on medical facilities and workers. Experts are calling for policy changes to help reduce this burden. The Tokyo Fire Department says nearly 700 people with the virus were transported to hospitals by ambulance during the week through Sunday. This comes at a time when many people are also being taken to hospital with heat stroke symptoms. Ambulance crews are struggling to find medical facilities that will accept patients.
Japan is facing a large-scale surge in infections. The strain on the medical system could become even more serious.
A group of experts has compiled a set of proposals to make it easier for facilities to handle this surge in cases. One proposal calls for antivirus measures that can be taken at ordinary institutions. Right now, only a limited number of facilities is allowed to treat COVID inpatients. The experts also say public health centers should only track cases of patients at risk of developing severe symptoms instead of every positive case. Authorities reported more than 210,000 new cases across Japan on Tuesday, along with 143 deaths. Authorities in northern Japan have approved plans for the construction of facilities to release treated water from the crippled Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant into the ocean. The governor of Fukushima Prefecture and the mayors of the two municipalities hosting the plant met with Tokyo Electric Power Company President Kobayakawa Tomoaki on Tuesday. The officials submitted a document to Kobayakawa indicating their approval of TEPCO's plan to construct an underwater tunnel and other facilities. But they also expressed concerns of residents about the safety of the project. Some are worried about the damage it could cause to the region's reputation. The officials asked Kobayakawa to publish data on the presence of radioactive material in the treated water and to hold dialogue with the public to ease their concerns. Kobayakawa said TEPCO would ensure the safety of the facilities and strengthen its monitoring of radioactive materials. The Nuclear Regulation Authority gave final approval in July of TEPCO's plan to release the treated water. The reactors at the Fukushima Daiichi plant suffered meltdowns in the March 2011 earthquake and tsunami disaster. Water used to cool molten fuel mixes with rain and groundwater. The accumulated water is being treated to remove most of the radioactive material and stored in tanks on the plant's grounds. The filtered water still contains tritium. The government plans to dilute the water so the concentration of tritium is well below national and global standards. TEPCO hopes to complete construction work on the underwater tunnel and other facilities by next spring. The fatal shooting of former Japanese Prime Minister Abe Shinzo has turned the spotlight on ties between a religious group and leading ruling party members. Abe's brother, Defense Minister Kishi Nobuo, now says he'll review his own connections to the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, formerly known as the Unification Church. The suspect in the shooting reportedly believed Abe had links to the church. He blamed the group for bankrupting his family. Kishi has admitted people with ties to the church have volunteered on his election campaigns in the past. But he told reporters on Tuesday he has not received any direct help from the group itself.
Various social issues linked to the group are now emerging. I will thoroughly review my election team's practices.
Chairperson of the National Public Safety Commission, Ninoyu Satoshi, was also asked by reporters about his ties with the group. He recently admitted that he served as chair of an executive committee for an event organized by a group affiliated with the church. Ninoyu said it was the only time he had worked with the group.
I've never received any support from the group for my political activities or election campaigns.
The Secretary General of the main governing Liberal Democratic Party, Motegi Toshimitsu, said the party has no official ties with the church. He said the LDP has never invited the group to party meetings. Japan was roasting under hot weather Tuesday, and it's likely to be the same for Wednesday. Our meteorologist Sakamori has the forecast in world weather.
Hello there. It was boiling hot day once again in Japan on Tuesday. The highs were close to 40 degrees near Tokyo. Koshigaya and Kofu had highs of 39.5 degrees, and for Kashima, it was the hottest temperature ever recorded. Temperatures are going to be on the hot side at least for the next couple of days. Tokyo could see a high of 36 degrees, so it's going to be as hot as Tuesday. And on Thursday, rain is in the forecast, but temperatures will not cool down. The temperatures at night will remain on the high side, so drink water before going to bed to avoid heat stroke. Kumagaya could see a high of 39 degrees on your Wednesday. Heavy rain led to severe flooding over Kentucky last week, and we have a dramatic video coming out of the state. Eyewitnesses captured a dramatic rescue of an elderly woman from severe floods last week. Severe rains turned the street like a river. Authorities said at least 37 people, including several children, have been killed so far. Unfortunately, more rain is in the forecast. Although the peak is over, as you can see, some rain is still in the forecast for Kentucky, so that could lead to more flooding across the region. Across Australia, we have 3 low-pressure systems rotating near the southern areas of Australia, and we saw very strong winds over Western Australia. Some areas experienced the strongest winds in about 10 years. Winds will remain strong. As you can see, the pressure gradient is still tight. We will see rain and stormy conditions affecting Melbourne in the morning hours on Wednesday, and temperatures are going to be in the teens in the south, including Perth, Adelaide, as well as Melbourne. But gorgeous weather for you in Sydney as well as Brisbane, and it's going to be heating up to the 30-degree mark in Alice Springs as well as Darwin. That's it for me. Stay safe.